Folks, welcome back. Episode 6 of Stateside Speed today. It is July 3rd, and we are heading into the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Wild race last weekend. My name is Shaun Thompson, and we got the trio together. So we've got Dennis and Aaron who's joined us. Yes. No dishes in the background, and you may or may not hear fireworks going off behind.
Yeah, there's going to be some fireworks.
Yeah, because it
is that time of year.
It turns into a small war zone around our homes during the 4th of July. So happy 4th of July to everyone if you're listening. Just going to jump right into it. The Austrian Grand Prix last week, the home race for Red Bull. Max drove like it was 2021 all over again. So he just felt like he could smooth on over and push people off the track, and calls it racing, which I can see and I can't see, because he did knock out one of my he knocked out one of my favorite drivers in Lando Norris from McLaren, who should have won the damn race, because he
definitely changed the perspective when it's your driver, right?
Yeah. And so the knockout and crash of Lando also knocked Max out of first place, and he ended up finishing 5th. And George Russell takes the victory this week, with Oscar Piastri moving from 10th up to 2nd, so still scoring points for McLaren, and then Ferrari finishing in 3rd with Carlos Sainz. A lot to delve into. I think predominantly the big storyline of the race was the contact on lap 64 between Verstappen and Norris. I've seen a whole lot, and I'm sure you guys have too, of looking into and it wasn't just that lap. Verstappen did it numerous times where Lando would make a move, and Verstappen would move with underbraking. It's all illegal. And Verstappen did get a 10-second penalty, but
didn't matter.
He had numerous illegal moves. Yeah, and he still knocked Norris out of the race completely, knocked him off the podium, knocked him out of the points.
And he got a bigger lead in the drivers' standings based on that versus if they finished 1-2.
Right. And so a lot of controversy. And I know a lot of the stuff that I had watched kind of went back to 2021, where they had numerous examples of him of Verstappen doing the exact same thing, where he's kind of just edges out and pushes folks off the road. He did it to Leclerc numerous times. He did it to Hamilton numerous times, and nothing was done. However, if anyone does it to him, it's, they've got Horner on the radio. They've got everyone calling into the stewards. And then all of a sudden, there's 10-second penalties and this and that and grid penalties and all kinds of stuff. So it's a double standard. I think it needs to end, and they really need to start, if they're going to actually enforce the rules, then enforce the damn rules, period.
Right.
Because Verstappen literally cost Lando the race. Lando was going to catch him, and Lando was going to overtake him. Now, whether or not Lando holds on to the lead, that's hard to say. I don't know. Lando did pass him at one point during the race and was unable to hold the lead for even a lap. So it's hard to say, but it was still an exciting race. There was a lot of really good. It was more exciting. And so
it was fun. It's competitive again, right?
Exactly. And so I really hope that people are a little bit more aggressive with Max, just how Max is. And if that leads to him getting knocked out of races, so be it. If that's how they want to run, then I think the other teams need to kind of step up and run that way too. So, but it was a really exciting race, but I think a lot of controversy. And you could also tell, I've never seen Andrea Stella get so, he said it without saying it. He didn't directly call them out, but directly called him out on it, So
right.
I think one of his quotes was, "Everyone on earth knows who was in the wrong here."
That's right.
It wasn't us.
That's right.
And then he even called Lewis Hamilton an 8-time champion. Then the reporter asked him, 8-time champion? He's only 7-time. He's like, "Oh no, I consider Lewis the 2021 champion because he was robbed." And I was like, yeah, that's kind of true, because there was a lot of controversy.
Definitely helped season. That one.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But I think the other surprising thing for me for this race was Haas. Both cars finished in the top 10, 6th and 8th. Came out of nowhere. Was not expecting Haas to be competitive whatsoever, but they look pretty strong. So is that something that we need to consider going forward? Is this are they going to show up again this week? I think we'll talk about that a little later on in the show today too, kind of what they're bringing to Silverstone. This is kind of a big race for a bunch of teams because this is their home race for the teams, not necessarily for the drivers, but for a lot of drivers, it is their home race as well. And so we'll kind of delve into that a little bit further because I think Haas is one of the only teams that's bringing upgrades to the race here itself as well. And so, but overall, Austrian Grand Prix was a really great race. Other surprises that you guys had or other thoughts, comments from the race this past week?
My biggest comment, we got to be careful to overthink some of this, even with Haas, right? 3 of the top drivers weren't even the top 10, right? Leclerc messed, front wing damage in the beginning when he made contact with, I think it was Perez and Piastri right at the beginning, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then he was done. I mean, and then of course the top 2 drivers are gone. So 6 and 8 could have easily been, 9 and 11 or whatever, however you want to do the math there. Not saying that's bad. That's still awesome when a Haas scores points. That was kind of my big thing because I keep doing that through the week too. And I'm like reviewing it. I'm like I go back and I'll look at highlights and reading stories and stuff. And I'm like, wait a second, like 3 of the top 5 drivers didn't even get in the points to finish.
Right.
So got to remember that. May or may not have affected my bold prediction too, but we could talk about that later.
And what was the deal with?
I think Alpine was a pretty big surprise.
Oh, he was talking about Alpine.
I think Alpine was a
big
surprise.
Yes,
this last weekend.
They kind of showed up again too. So
2 weeks in a row for them.
Yeah. And Ocon was just
this might be more than just a fluke for them.
I agree.
Yeah, who knows? Seem to be bringing the upgrades, and I was kind of because we were all 3 of us were watching the race together on Sunday, and I kind of remember talking or asking Aaron like, what the hell is happening with Leclerc? He stopped like 4 times.
He just kept stopping
in the first 20 laps. Yeah, they just kept bringing him in. I'm like,
I get the first one. The first one made sense,
right? But yeah.
Like,
but they kept swapping tires on him.
P11,
right? Yeah. It's just kind of wild. So I didn't understand the strategy. Maybe there's something else going on with the car. I'm not really sure. But with the hiccup that he had during qualifying, with the hiccup he had during qualifying where he didn't even get a lap in on Q3. Yeah, it was just Ferrari being Ferrari all over again. I was like, oh boy, here we go.
Agreed.
It just can't get out of their own way sometimes. So, but I think the other surprising thing and maybe not surprising, but Aston Martin looks awful. That car was so slow this week. And I just don't, with all the supposed cash that's flowing into that team, what is going on with Aston? They're
spending it all on Stroll.
I guess. I don't know. They look really weak. I mean, I think sorry, Aaron, they're down there with Kick Sauber and Williams. I mean, they are. I think they're in the bottom.
You don't have to be.
I think they're in the bottom 3.
They're bad.
Williams and Sauber looked their usual.
Those 3 are terrible.
Yeah, and Aston just looks super slow too. So I kind of foresee the same foreboding. Probably 4 teams being competitive again here in Silverstone as well. And like I said, we'll kind of delve into that here in the next couple segments here. But we're gonna do our weekly talk about where drivers are going. After our last episode, Pierre Gasly did sign a extension with Alpine. The next news is, where is Carlos Sainz going? The 2 teams that seem to be with the most rumor are still Williams, which is surprising. And now Alpine has entered the fray as well. And I know, Dennis, you and I had been chatting about it. It seemed like Alpine is moving away from Renault for their power unit and maybe bringing Mercedes in as a power unit supplier, which I think would be a good move because obviously the Renault engines have not been great.
I think that's what is making Sainz think about it.
Right. And I'm pretty certain that Renault had a falling out with Red Bull years ago when Vettel started his tear. And I think they had swapped from Renault over to Honda at that point in time. And so maybe it's just the Renault engine, the power units just aren't up to snuff. And maybe, putting a Ferrari or a Mercedes power unit is going to improve that car even further. Who knows? So, but
Alpine wouldn't be a bad choice for him if if they have Mercedes power unit.
Right. And it would be a second go around.
That'd be a good spot for him.
So, yeah. And he's been there before, and they seem like they're trying to be more competitive. So
there it is. I was going to say, as we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, they do something seems to be changing over there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the car looks quicker. The car looks faster. So maybe that'll be the thing that Sainz is looking for. And I haven't really heard as much linking him to Audi as I had.
Yeah.
It seems like the two main players now for his future seem like Alpine and Williams. And so I have a really hard time believing he's going to actually wind up at Williams. I think that would be a dramatic step down for him. I think Alpine's a step down for him personally, but I'm just shocked that a teams like
I think it's
Mercedes
a step back to go 1 or 2 steps forward for him. I think Alpine could be
that's the sell, right?
A competitor.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they can.
That's true. That's true. And so as of now, Alpine's just missing a driver. Haas still has not officially named Behrman their new driver for next year. So there's still 2 seats open. They haven't made any decisions. Williams still hasn't made a decision on their second driver. Sauber only has Hulkenberg for next year. They still need a second driver. So still a lot up in the air, but if you guys had your crystal ball in front of you right now, where do you see Sainz going? What's your prediction?
I got to say this. Yeah. So, I mean, based on where we are at this second, ask me tomorrow, it'll be different, but I'll say Alpine.
Yeah.
That feels like the strongest right now.
Yeah.
As the token Sauber Audi fan, I would like to see him go there. It's just not pointing that way right now. I think Alpine's probably the play for him.
Yeah. It seems like the safe bet.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just Williams. Right. Yeah, I would too. That'd be a big step back, but who knows? I mean, Williams, they seem like they're actually trying to become competitive too. And maybe with a driver like him, that may happen. He seems like he's going to be in a position like he wants to be competitive sooner rather than later. So that's probably where Alpine's probably going to fit in a little bit better into that kind of, plan for him. And so we'll see. And then I guess
around him.
And Stroll did sign again with Aston. So
that was my joke earlier, is that they're spending money on that instead of whatever else to improve.
Yeah. So
for a second,
nepotism,
Stroll signed with a
nepotism running wild within F1 and in the NBA because
my goodness,
Ronnie on the Lakers, and so I'm fine
with the Lakers sucking another year. So
take him
for me.
Yeah, have fun. So I think the thing I saw with Bronny James was that clip from something about Paulie with I can't remember that actor's name, and he's just yelling like Rain Man, and it's just like bricks off the backboard and White Thunder. So it's a great movie.
I saw that I don't know what it is right now, but I saw that somebody took a bet, and it was like at any game throughout the season next year that Bronny James scores 25 plus points in one game.
Wow.
And $10 won 1,000. And it's like, I
might take that.
Maybe.
For $10, there's value there. Yeah. Because they're going to be forcing it. And
25 points isn't much if they're going to be playing from behind.
The guy's he is a really good athlete. He just hasn't done anything at a competitive level yet, at that high level. Even like he could have been a good college player, but never really played. So
just will never pan out. So
this is good. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh yes, that's what it was. But,
Yep.
And then last but not least, I just in the rumors section, Lawson still not officially announced. There was rumors last week that he was replacing Ricardo at the end of July, right before the summer break.
Yeah.
But that's still nothing really official. Yeah. But I think it needs to happen. So unfortunately, everyone loves Danny Rick, but
supposing that Sainz goes to Alpine and or Williams, what does Sauber do for their second seat?
That's a great question. I could see.
Do they go young or do they try to?
I could see them bringing Ocon in to that spot. Esteban filling that spot. Yeah, I don't see them keeping Zhao in that spot on that team. I think Zhao is going to be.
Do they bring back Taz? would that be a play?
It's possible. I keep forgetting about him too. I don't want him to be without a seat either. So there's going to be a lot of open. I think there's going to be some heartbreak after this is all said and done. I think some familiar faces aren't going to have spots next year. I hope it's not Valtteri. Yeah. I hope he's got a spot. I could see Valtteri actually at Williams. Yeah,
that'd be a great move. I'd
love to see Valtteri brought back if they can't get signed or a young up and comer.
And they might.
Yep.
It's going to be a fun break.
Yes, it's going to be crazy. So I don't see any announcements prior to the break, but who knows? I could be wrong. Frequently am, but hopefully we'll see some more news, but there hasn't been anything this week and who knows? So
we'll be right back. Attention gearheads, feeling like your taste buds haven't qualified for the podium? Well, hit the gas and head over to Scrivener Farms, Kenner, Nebraska's champion choice for jams and jellies. Scrivener Farms jams and jellies are a flavor power lap. We're talking pole position peach, a first place plum that'll leave you wanting to do a victory lap, and for those who crave a pit stop with a kick, the jalapeno jelly will take you from 0 to 60 in record time. So ditch the post-race disappointment and head to your local grocery store. Grab a jar of Scrivener Farms jam or jelly and taste the victory lane feeling. This podcast is brought to you by Scrivener Farms, Kenner, Nebraska. Scrivener Farms, flavor that takes the checkered flag. And now, back to the show.
All right. So we'll get into the race this week. It's race week again. It's week 3 of the 3 in a row, which is great. Yes. And then we get a week off before Hungary for the Hungaroring. But it's one of the crown jewels of the season is Silverstone. This is the British Grand Prix. Great track, fast track, lots of high speed turns. I feel like this is a track that really favors the McLaren and the Ferrari teams. Red Bull's always going to be competitive. I mean, if Max is in the race, it's going to be competitive. But for me personally, again, I'm biased. I'm a McLaren fan, but I think those are the top 3 teams. And Mercedes, I mean, it's going to be the top 4 that's been for the past few weeks. Mercedes looked quick as well last week. And this is, again, not a home race. They're based in, I mean, they're obviously a German car making company, but they're based in England. And so this is, again, another home race for the team. But for Norris, Hamilton, Russell, this is the home race for them. Means a lot to them. Norris did, I think he led for a few laps at the beginning of the race last year.
Yep.
And so I hope to kind of see those things again, but really high speed track should again favor those 4 teams that I'd mentioned before. But Haas is bringing upgrades to this race again as well. So they seem to be really trying to improve this car steadily as the year goes along. Not like last year where it was just, one upgrade. We'll hope for the best. They seem to be making steady improvements week by week, which for a team that's got as low a budget as they do, it's pretty remarkable. And if they already had, 6th and 8th place last week, who knows? Do you see those guys finishing in the top 10 again this week at the race?
I think it's very possible. And who'd have thunk it? Got rid of Gunther.
Yeah, right. So,
and I hate it.
So how high do you see him having? Yeah.
How high? How high will they place? I could see around similar to last week, maybe like 7 and 9, 8 and 10, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I don't think they'll go much higher than that. Unless people crash out again, who knows with Max.
Right.
A guy who's not used to fighting at the front.
Yeah, I saw that AI. I think
the AI you sent was fantastic.
It's basically him just running straight into Hamilton and Hamilton's car flipping into the stands. And so we'll see. We'll see. But like I said, I hope that the other drivers are really super aggressive with Max this week. If that's how he's going to drive, that's fine. But then I think the drivers
got to learn from it and counter. It's the only way.
Yeah. I know they don't want to knock themselves out either, which is the tough part. So
it is hard. It's hard because
I think Lando's gonna give it to him again.
He's not going to back down. Right? He's not backing down.
Yeah. No.
So, and I love it.
And I think. Yeah, and I think that's going to be the big rivalry this year. Is they're best of friends off the track, but on the track, I think it's going to get pretty nasty. So,
wonder how it's been with them. Yeah, I haven't read anything this week.
Yeah, I haven't seen any stories about how they've been.
He does. Yeah, he's the one with the chip on the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
Yep. He's been finishing second, and now he got bumped and knocked out of the race. So it's time to get in there and win at home. So I think both McLarens will fare well. Oscar had a great race last week, and I can see him doing the same thing. That car is made for that track. It does super well on high speed corners. Ferrari's the same way. Mercedes, seems to be improving each and every week as well. I could see that car doing well on that track as well. So, but I wouldn't be shocked if Haas is kind of chomping at the bit in the midfield,
just hanging out in there.
So. Yeah, which is great. I
see it.
I like to see an American
driving great.
Well, but I believe Behrman is driving FP1.
Russell and sneak in after somebody fucking wrecks.
Right. So, and I feel like someone else was driving FP1 this week too. That was of significance. Maybe it was just Behrman that I'm thinking of, but I know Behrman's driving FP1. Oh, Jack Doohan from Alpine. He's driving FP1 as well. So
yeah, there's a name too that might be thrown in the mix for next year.
Right. So and he's a pretty solid driver and young too. So it's there's just a lot up in the air when it comes to those seats for next year as well. And so I think I'll be really paying attention to Haas and seeing how they do with those upgrades this week, especially after the strong showing they had next week. So next question is, does Kick score some points this week? Do they break in to the top? No,
absolutely not. I don't see how. I don't think that many cars are going to wreck.
Right.
To get them in the points.
They've looked better. Like, I mean, watching the race on Sunday, and I remember there was a couple bits that they had that they were 2.4, 2.6, which is vastly better from what they had earlier in the season.
Pit stop wise.
18 to 20
the stops are better.
So they're getting better, but I don't think they're to the point where. And I don't understand. I feel like Valtteri should be scoring for them.
Right.
I don't know why they're not. I don't know if
the car's just not as quick as the other ones. I mean, that's
the car's just
not there yet.
Unfortunately. So
he's an awesome driver. I mean, he's won several Grand Prix.
They're not going to score. They're not going to score. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And if that car is as bad as we think it is, and he's still getting like 12th to 14th place, I guess he is a good driver.
Oh yeah, but they're the only team that haven't scored yet. So
yeah, they were P16 and 17 last week. So and that was with the crashes and stuff. So I just don't. Yeah.
So are they going to go scoreless this year?
If I was a betting man, which
I mean, I'd put money on that.
We do have that other podcast.
We do Dancing with the Odds.
I would say, I would definitely not bet on them scoring points.
Bring Nicholas in for a drive this week.
Car pile up.
There you go. Oh, there you go. There's a name I haven't heard in a bit.
This is the race a couple years ago where Zhao got flipped over into the turn one fence there, wasn't it?
Into the netting. Oh,
yeah.
That
was a nasty crash.
That was brutal.
So. And then the tire allocation this week, all soft. Well, it's in the C3 compound, so it's technically in the medium range. I mean, it goes from C1 to C5, and C5 is technically the softest. But C3 is the soft tire this week, which is more on the medium range from a compound standpoint. But that's listed as the soft, and then they've got the C3 medium, and then 2 sets of hard tires for each team. So it seems like probably the softs are going to be the tire of choice for the weekend.
So is that a one? You think that's enough for a one stop or probably a 2-stop?
No, I think it'll be a 2-stopper. Yeah, I think it depends on degradation and those types of things. But I foresee this kind of being a 2-stop race, especially with the high speed cornering and those types of things on the racetrack. Yeah, it was interesting to see. I can't remember what the allocations were last year, but it seemed like they did lean more so on the mediums last year, if I remember correctly. If that's what they're saving up for, then who knows? So those are the allocations for the weekend. So be interesting to see what the tire strategy is going to be for the race. And I think a lot of it just depends on what they find out during free practice and also during qualifying as well. So last but not least, got to get to predictions.
The fun stuff.
I think we were all not grossly wrong, but we were all pretty. I don't think any of our bold predictions were even close. I think some of us got somewhat close with our predictions for the results of the sprint and actual race. What do you guys got for? Let's start with qualifying. Who finishes pole? Who's pole position this week?
Do you want to go first, Aaron?
Max. Max.
Okay.
I go safe, Max.
You asked for pole. This happens to be my bold prediction for this week.
Okay.
I'm going Russell here. George Russell's taking pole. He's coming off the win. He's home and he's going to prove something. He's going to put in one hot lap that gets it done and he's going to take the pole.
Yeah.
All right.
He's been running quick, so I could see that.
Yeah, I'm going with my my team, Lando.
I'm trying hard not to be a homer on a lot of these, but
I know I'm being a homer.
It's actually a good pick. It's actually a good pick.
So I think Norris will be the pole. I think, and I'll even say this. Here's my bold prediction: Oscar Piastri second.
Woo!
Front row McLaren 1-2. So and then
that'd be a big
2.
Third. Yeah. Yep. There's my bold prediction. Oscar Piastri starting second, right behind Lando. So, and then when it comes to the race, who do you got winning the race this week?
So I like your prediction of Norris taking the pole, but I like Lando when he's not in the pole position. For some reason, I think he races a little better, trying to catch up. Yeah. I know his starts are the greatest, but he has got a lot of speed in between
this year.
He has had some bad starts.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go P1 Norris.
Okay.
Last week I said I thought he was going to break through, and he almost had it if it wasn't for that BS. So I think he's got something to prove. He's going to come back this week. I think he's taking P1. I think Verstappen's going to be P2. I got Hamilton P3, and then kind of a little more there. I got Piastri P4, and then my bold prediction is Hulkenberg P5.
Woo! Wow. Nice. Excellent.
Let's go 2-7. I like it.
Excellent. What do you got there, Dennis?
So we have the same exact podium. So I also think Lando's going to break through this week. He's going to get it done. Max will be P2, and I also took Hamilton P3. I think Hamilton's not going to let George beat him at home. I know it's home for both of them, but Hamilton's been getting quick.
No,
he just had a podium 2 races ago. He's at Silverstone. He's going to get it done. He's going to get around George and get P3. Yeah,
so I'm sticking it up. I think I'm gonna go Oscar P1. I'm gonna go Russell P2 and Lando P3.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's almost a bold prediction on top of that's a bold podium.
Extra bold. Yeah. So
bold on top of
spicy. It's bold and spicy.
I've got a good feeling about
provocative.
I think he's very
people love it.
Close. He's so close. Yeah, gets the people going. So, so I got a good feeling about Oscar. I think he's close. He drove a hell of a race. Now, granted, there were crashes in there, but moving from 10th up second last week was pretty solid. So
yeah, he had a lot of work in front of him, and he did a lot of work.
Yes,
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, and so, and I really think that McLaren is built for that track. I mean, it does great in the high speed corners. It's quick in the straights. I can see that. I can see both McLarens doing super well as long as they don't get knocked out by illegal moves by other drivers. So have to keep our fingers crossed. But I think the wild card in all of this,
driving hard.
Right. Yeah. And so I think the wild card in all of this though is going to be Ferrari. I think they can probably come from nowhere and make some noise too. So it'll be interesting to just kind of see how it goes. So are those fireworks, Aaron?
Oh, yeah. Listeners, if you're picking up any, it's an absolute war zone outside right now. So sorry. Yeah. Take that, England.
Yeah, I live in like the ghetto of West Omaha, and it's nonstop. Sounds like gunshots.
The ghetto of West Omaha.
Hickory Ridge is the ghetto of West Omaha.
That's awesome.
That's like where people escape from the lower end of Omaha, and they're like, well, this is affordable and it's West Omaha, so we'll move there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Awesome. Well, I looked at the Las Vegas Grand Prix website again this week. Still unable to apply for said job of marshal.
Really teasing this thing, aren't they? Come on, open that thing up.
So,
Shaun needs to go.
Right. So we'll see how it goes. More to come on that. So I'll keep checking every week. So, and once that happens, I'll be sure to post it and make sure that the listeners know. And if you are listening, thank you so much. Can't do it without you. If you like what you're hearing, like what you're seeing, tell your friends, tell your family, follow us on all the socials. We're on X, Instagram, and Facebook, not on Threads. Probably need to work on getting there, but please follow us, interact with us. If you feel like we're talking complete nonsense on the show today, let us know what you think. Be happy to interact and chat with us. But please follow us and subscribe to the podcast on wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it be Spotify.
We are everywhere.
Apple Music, those types of things. We are everywhere and anywhere you need us to be for your listening. And hopefully this was a little good recap of the races last week and coming into this week as well. So we have a little break after this week. I think there's a week break in between, and then we get to Hungary and then Spa, and then it's summer break time because it'll be the end of July already, which is hard to believe. So, but
flying by.
Yep. Any parting thoughts, gentlemen, before we sign off for this week?
Quick shout out to Logan Sargent, who just signed an IndyCar deal. He'll be racing Indy next year, which I think is probably a good spot for him, to be honest. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Also, staying on the Indy track, sad to see Rossi lost his seat at McLaren.
Yeah,
I love Rossi, but they did do it so that they can sign Christian Lundgaard, who's a fantastic driver. So kudos to McLaren. Promise I won't talk much more Indy.
Oh, that's fine. It's stateside. So that
Stateside Speed.
Yeah. Yep. So
just no NASCAR
in Iowa in a couple weeks. So no NASCAR.
Yeah, they will be
right.
Newton
NASCAR.
I think they're in. Where are they racing this week? Crap! I'd have to look it up. So poor form on our part. So
ask those questions when we weren't. They're in Ohio.
Yeah.
They're in Ohio.
Oh, okay, that's where it is.
Yep.
Yeah. So and then I know it's Newton, and then I think they're maybe in Milwaukee after that. So maybe
a lot of good racing in that series this year.
Yeah, especially maybe during the summer break. Maybe we talk a little bit more IndyCar.
Yeah, we could do that
if folks are interested.
Good idea.
I've been trying to pay more attention to that myself. So great seeing you guys again. I'm glad we could get the gang back together this evening and chat about things. So looking forward to the race. I hope I'm right. I hope have a front row for qualifying for McLaren and Oscar Piastri's first victory. So let's get her done.
Like Pat McAfee says, be a friend, tell a friend.
Yep. Couldn't do it without you folks. So please amplify, spread the word about us. If you like what you hear, we appreciate your listening, and thanks again. And we will see you hopefully in a week or so, maybe a quick Hungaroring preview. But if not, we'll just try to recap the race next week. A little preview for the upcoming two races after that. And then if there's any new news regarding driver signings, we'll be sure to post those on our socials. And then hopefully be back next week to talk about those things as well. So with that, we'll sign off and we'll see you next time. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.